take off, take flight with you. For we never fly, but we're flying.
Hello, for new listeners, welcome to Take Flight Podcast. And for returning listeners, welcome back to another episode. This week is a Take Flight takeaway by myself, Daniel, part of the quartet with ᴠɪᴇᴡs and Olu, who are the hosts for Take Flight Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to share with you 5 things that I perceive to be the benefits of traveling. So let's get right into it. Prior to the pandemic, I had a love for traveling. And for those who know me, you know that I certainly love traveling, to the extent I used to set myself travel targets during my 20s. For many of us, if not the whole world, the pandemic halted the ability for us to travel, whether it be business or for pleasure. Travel stopped. I was fortunate to travel a few times just prior to the pandemic, quite a few times in 2019 and just a month before the pandemic was announced and became a global crisis, and then later again that year when travel restrictions eased slightly. And that was really, really good just to at least get out of the country. However, in 2021, that was a complete myth. Everything was a complete standstill to the most part. This year, I've been fortunate to travel abroad 5 times, with hopefully a few more on the horizon before the end of the year. But I wanted to quickly touch on 5 benefits that I think you can receive and get from traveling. And again, these benefits are from my vantage point. Firstly, education. The ability to immerse yourself in a new location, a new culture, and adapt is a scary at times, but certainly a wonderful experience. To learn about the culture, the way of living, is not something you even need to go to a museum to learn per se. Of course, the museum helps you learn about the history, the deep history of that location, of that country. But all you need to do is just open your eyes, look around, observe the locals and observe the people around you, and you'll certainly catch a glimpse of what the culture is like in that particular area. Also, do not discard or write off the invaluable knowledge you can hear and get when speaking to a taxi driver or an Uber driver, or even a stranger in the street. Often the best conversations happen when you're in an Uber or a taxi, just talking to the driver. They're sharing knowledge of the town. Sometimes they give you tips of things you should certainly see or do. And sometimes they warn you of the dangers or things you may have overlooked. Not to scare you, but just to warn you, especially as you will stick out like a sore thumb being a tourist. I certainly do, because I have a camera in my hand ready to snap anything that I see or just capturing the moment. Secondly, exploration. Getting out of your comfort zone. We're probably victims of falling into a daily routine that becomes involuntary. We do it day in, day out without even a conscious thought. But similar to education, getting out once in a while and exploring is just something that is good to do. Getting off social media, keeping updated with what's going on, or meme pages, whatever it may be, and just being present in the moment is certainly a good experience. Thirdly, change of scenery. This again links to exploration. A change of scenery does wonders for the soul. Just being able to have disrupted your somewhat normal routine for a certain period of time to start do something new, maybe not even plan a day and just go with the flow of the day. And sometimes it may be that you've planned a day and you want to do certain things, but this certain disruption to what we would live normally is sometimes really, really nice to experience. Fourth, adventure. Always think, when was the last time you did something for the first time? So I ask you right now, when was the last time you did something for the first time? And no, it doesn't have to be something reckless or one of those YOLO moments, but question yourself and ask, just to keep that inner child inside of you, keeping that alive, and just to have that sense of fun, mystery, adventure, and the unknown. Fifth and final point, social interaction. This is something I very much cherished when on my last 2 couple of trips. So the first trip was a family trip to celebrate my mum's birthday in Antalya in August. And then more recently, that you probably heard, my family surprised ᴠɪᴇᴡs and his family in Switzerland. And the first one was just me speaking to a guy who was there with his family, and he'd been to that resort quite a number of times, and we're just talking. And one of the mornings, he then met my family. We met his family. We're talking. They were both, his family from where I grew up in Surrey, same area. So it was nice just to have a conversation outside of the UK, speaking to some UK people. And yeah, we saw them quite regularly, and we would often stop for chat. And that was nice. But I want to share more of my latest experience with Babilo and his family. So we spent the majority of our time and our days with them. We stayed in our own apartment, but we spent the majority of the time road trips and doing things and going out exploring. As I mentioned, one of the benefits is exploring a different environment. And we got conversing and talking about a number of different things that I would say myself, my wife, and let's say our son, not that he's very much involved in the conversation, but there were conversations that we had as a family that we had never had before. We got to talk as a family with Babilo as a family to share family experiences for Babilo and his family, Babilo and Lauren, to share conversations they've had that have made us think. Also conversations that we've had that have made them think. And I think it was certainly a valuable two-way exchange. Even Babilo will know what I'm talking about when there are some action items that have come from it. But my wife was truly grateful for the conversations that we had as families, and I didn't think too much of it at the time. But then when I stopped for a moment, and when we had a conversation when we got back to our apartment, I stopped to really digest that this isn't something we have regularly. We often see friends or have phone conversations, but it's really for a particular subject or topic. The organicness was something that was there, of just being in proximity to one another, being in person. That conversation was free flowing. And often when we have conversations or we see people go to their homes, it's for a particular period. We go, you enjoy your time, and then you leave. But the fact that we were able to spend multiple days with them and to start new conversations, it was just something that I really missed, and I found great value, because as we navigate as a family, we're in the very early stages of having an infant, and Babilo and Lauren have a 3-year-old, as well as almost soon to be 3-month-old. It's nice just to see, things that they've been through and sharing their experiences with us. And you really can't replace in-person interaction. You may have heard in previous episodes where when it comes to work, I love to work from home. I don't want to go to the office, and that was primarily because of my commute. But one thing I would certainly say, and I'll put my hand up to say, the in-person interaction, whether even, of course, family and friends, is great. And even I'm starting to see a degree of that in work, that I've been to the office a few times and I've really enjoyed that social interaction. But let me not digress onto work. This is about traveling. So in summary, the 5 points I mentioned that I perceive as the benefits of traveling are education, exploration, change of scenery, adventure, and social interaction. I would be keen to hear what your view on your own personal views are, and what you think the benefits are of traveling. And if you're traveling to any nice location or anywhere, whether it be the UK or abroad, let us know. Let me know in the comments or in the DMs. We'd be very keen to hear. So hopefully I get some more inspiration for next locations. But hope you've enjoyed this episode. From myself, Daniel. If you have any feedback for us, find us on Instagram at Take Flight Podcast, and feel free to DM us. And if you are more of someone who likes to watch podcasts, you can also find us on YouTube. Until next week, stay safe and God bless.
Take off, take flight with you. For we never